So, a couple things. If you think about successful people, there's you've heard of the 80-20 rule? Well, there's actually the 95-5 rule, where the 5% of people are really the top performers. And there's about close to 1,000 people here, and you represent about 5% of Glazer County membership. So you should give yourself a hand, the fact that you're the people that are the top 5%ers. Recently, very recently, a friend of mine called me up and told me a story. It was a true story. It was about two business owners, two entrepreneurs, that they had their business in a small city. And actually, their businesses were right next to each other in the downtown area of the city. And one of them was a dentist, and the other one sold cell phones and cell services. And their businesses were right next to each other, and in front of their business there was a bench, and every day around 12:30 to 1 o'clock they would get together and they would have lunch together. They developed a relationship, a camaraderie, and they talked about life and business and things in general. And recently, and this is a true story, recently the cell phone operator said to the dentist, he says, "Doc, how's your practice doing today?" And the doctor said, "I'm not doing so well. I haven't been doing well as normal because I've been affected by the economy, just as your cell phone store has." And the cell phone operator said to the dentist, he says, "Well, what are you doing to change that?" And the dentist says, "I'm doing nothing." And the cell phone guy looked at him and says, "You know, it's interesting, Doc. Yesterday I asked you that question, and you told me the same answer. You said, I'm doing nothing." And the doctor looked at him and said, "I'm not finished yet." And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are actually doing right now. They're not finished yet doing nothing. And what we're doing here in these next 4 days is we're going to combat that. This is all about not sort of throwing in the emotional towel, but figuring out how we can actually do better in this economy and use that to our advantage. Now, I'm going to ask everybody a question, and it's more at using the Dan Kennedy-isms. This is going to be more instructive to look around the room when I ask you this question than to look at me. So here's the question. During this economy, how many people in the rooms, businesses, are actually flourishing and prospering? Look around the room. And that's why you guys, the top 5%ers, and the ones that didn't raise your hands, next time I ask that question, everybody's hands are going to go up. Now, I want to... Oh, good. I want to figure out what I'm doing. So I want to talk a little bit about what you're going to be experiencing. Dan's going to come up here very shortly with his first session on your own very bailout from Dan. But I want to just go through a few things with you before we get started. The first thing is, there's a book that's called The Ultimate Success Secret. How many of you have read that book, The Ultimate Success Secret? Well, that's cool. I mean, how many of you have never read that book? Shame on you. There's good news for you. That book's available. It's available 2 places, actually. It's in the new Magnetic Marketing for the Emerging Economy product. We put it in there. And the other thing we did, which I'm surprised so many of you haven't read it, we brought extra copies. They're in the back there. I think they're $5 a piece, and you can get a copy of that book, and you can get Dan to sign it tomorrow night for you, along with all his other books. But everybody should read this book, which is The Ultimate Success Secret. And on page 18 of this book, there's a really, really, really important lesson in this book, and that is the miracle formula for taking charge of every aspect of your life. And I wanted to just talk to you about this one aspect of this book, which is control equals responsibility, and responsibility equals control. And Dan does a fabulous job of explaining this in the book, and I'm going to actually go through this lesson with you just for a second, which is everybody wants greater control. Everybody's looking for greater control. They want control over their finances, present and future. They want control over your time. They want control over your lifestyle. They want control over others as coworkers and their vendors and people like that. That's what they want control over. And what happens is, ironically, as much as we want control, we are the ones who give it away every time we say one of the following things. It's the economy. We just gave up control. It's the season. It's the wrong season for my business. We give up control. It's the government. We give up control. And by the way, I want to thank our president from doing something useful for change, doing our opening remarks for us. It's the location of our business. When we use that as an excuse, we give up control. It's my partner, my coworker, my spouse. We give up control. It's the whatever, we give up control. So every time we say it's the fill in the blank, we really do two things simultaneously. One of them is we give away responsibility that temporarily makes us feel better. So what we're doing is, well, every time we say it's the economy, that's why my business is not doing what it should do, we're giving up the responsibility to ourselves to actually fix that. Whoops, that is not good. There you go. So also, when we give up responsibility, we give up an equal size amount of control that we actually have for our business. So whenever we deny responsibility, we give up control. So this year, the Super Conference is not about denying responsibility and taking back total control, regardless of the economy, the season, the government, the location, your business partner, whatever. This is about actually taking the responsibility in order to keep in control of your business. And again, that's a fabulous part that Dan teaches in that book, and I would really suggest that everybody do not raise your hand and make sure you get that book from Dan. We have a bunch of our speakers over here, and if you guys can come up here and join me on the stage, and this is just a small representation of who you'll be meeting these next couple of days. By the way, did you notice one commonality of our speakers? They move very slowly. I'm going to actually get you to stand back just a little bit for me if I can, because I got a pace. Thank you. So I want to go through, many of our speakers, not all of them are here, but tons of them are here. And I will tell you that this year what we've done is we've not only put together the most valuable speakers, but they are the most attractive speakers we've ever had of the Glazer Kennedy stage. And I want to go through sort of what you'll be experiencing in the next 3, and most of you the next 4 days. So today, Thursday, April the 30th, we're going to start out with a session from Dan Kennedy, and it's Dan Kennedy to the Rescue, Part 1. And so he'll be spending with you time this morning talking about how you can actually use the economy to your advantage. After Dan, we're going to have our Marketer of the Year presentation. So we have 3 people this year that will be vying for the Glazer Kennedy Marketer of the Year. For those of you who have never been to a super conference before, we do a call out to all of our members, and we ask them to submit their best marketing materials, their best case studies, their best successes in order to compete for Marketer of the Year. We had literally 50, 60 entries. We narrowed it down to the 3 really best ones. Every one of these, in order to qualify, because a lot of people send in stuff, but in order to qualify, you have to have real success case stories. It's not about things that you want to do or going to do. This is about things that you have done. So you're going to hear from 2 of them right after Dan. One of them is Brett Fogel, and the other one is Yar Zuck. 2 very, very different businesses. And you'll be hearing from 2 of those at that time. Then after that, you're going to be treated to our leading luxury celebrity marketer, Ivanka Trump. And Trump is in the building, and so she'll be here with us. And I'll be telling you a little bit more about Ivanka later on when I introduce her to you. And then after that, we're going to have lunch. So that's something everybody's really happy about. I also want to tell you that I was told this morning that the hotel is kind enough to set up like, what do they call this? This is grab and goes. Grab and goes right in front of where the coffee place is. So they'll have food prepared for you, and you can sort of grab something quickly to eat. And because you want to get back here in time for the next session. And the next session after that will be, I should also mention that all our diamond members during lunch are permitted to come to get their photo taken with Ivanka. And that's going to be in the International Ballroom. So wherever that is. I thought I was in the International Ballroom. But I'm not in it. Sherry tells me I'm not in the International. So wherever that is, I'm assuming there will be arrows pointing people It's downstairs. Downstairs. Thank you, Sherry. That you go down there. So if you're a Diamond member or a Peak Performer member or Info Mastermind member, Platinum member, go down there. You get an opportunity to get your photo taken with Ivanka. Last year, everybody who got their photo taken with Gene Simmons shamelessly used that to their advantages in their marketing, and you have an opportunity to do the same at this time. Also, the next session will be, we have one more presenter for Market of the Year, and that's Michael McLean. He'll be up here right after lunch, and you'll hear one more of the three that will be presenting at that time. And then we have sort of, once we have the three presenters, we have a very special sort of twist to Market of the Year this year that the three of them know nothing about at all, and that's good. Because if they knew anything about it, they probably would not be here. Next after that, we have Peter Shea. Peter Shea, many of you probably know, he owns Entrepreneur, which is Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneur Publishing, which publishes all the No BS books, and he also owns Entrepreneur Online, so the big entrepreneur conglomerate. I think it's called Entrepreneur Media. Probably there's nobody out there at all that has worked with more small business owners, entrepreneurs than Peter Shea does, and there's going to be and Dan and Peter actually be on the stage together talking about what he has observed, and then Peter's also going to do some open Q&A with all of our members. After that, then we have, where's Lee? We have Lee Miltier will be up here with you. So come on up here a little bit, Lee. See, Lee, I told you, they all know you. You're famous. So Lee Miltier, I asked Lee to talk about something. Lee is just fabulous about putting together this whole thing about association. But what I asked Lee to talk about this time and is about putting together talk about not association, but the power of positive association. And there's nothing that I've seen, the people that I personally work with, and I work with right now 138 entrepreneurs one-on-one, there's nothing that I see that skyrockets their business more than this whole thing of power of positive association. Lee is our peak performer coach extraordinaire, and she's going to be sharing with you a talk at that time. So Lee will be here at that time. After that, we have Derek Gill, which I don't think Derek is here yet because, you know, Derek is an internet marketer, although we do have, we got two internet marketers, two and a half. I don't know if we consider you still an internet marketer. You're like beyond that. You're like those, I don't know what you are, Abel. but it's the fact that we have 2.5 internet marketers up here, and they're up here at 8:20 in the morning is amazing, okay? Because they're normally just sort of stumbling in right now. You know, so, but Derek, he didn't stumble in yet, so he'll be here with you a little later on. And that is on Thursday, and then we're going to have our dinner break, and then we want you to take all your items with you tonight before you go out with the dinner break, because this room is going to be broken into 3 sections for tomorrow's breakout sessions, and they need to have the room cleared out. So if you leave anything here, it will not be here when you get back tomorrow. And then tonight we also have our exhibitor area that's open up from 7 to 10 tonight. So you saw a bunch of exhibitors out there in the common area. It also wraps around into another room where there's more exhibitors. So there's 25, 26 exhibitors here this year. It is the best group that we've ever put together. Many of them you've seen before. They're just extraordinary people. And so you want to spend some time seeking out new people that can be resources for you to be shortcuts to help you grow your business. And also tonight at 7:30 to 8:30, and we'll get our peak performer authors to stand up in a few moments, but anybody who's an author, as a peak performer member, who's an author of the new book that you all got as a free gift, we'll be having a special session tonight in the Rosemont B room. And because Adam Whitty will be there and Lee and I will be there talking about how to use this book to your advantage as a marketing tool. So we're doing a special session for peak performers tonight there. Even if you're not an author, but you're a peak performer member, you're also more than welcome to attend that tonight. And then at 8:30 on, peak performer members will just stay for a dessert reception where we typically always like to do that the first day for our peak performer members, sort of talk about big ahas that have achieved during day 1 of the super conference. So everybody else, you have free run of the exhibition area, and the peak performer members will be meeting from 7:30 to 9:30 tonight with Lee, myself, and myself. Tomorrow, we move into breakout sessions. So first thing tomorrow morning, you've got choices. So in session number 1, which is in Grand ABC, which is that way, this part of the room over here, you will have Mike Stewart. Where's Mike? Mike, come up here a little bit. Mike is, Mike, first of all, I love your hair color, Mike. And business, I don't care what business you have, you should be using video, as Mike will explain that to you. So you have choice to attend his session. The other session you can attend is Mike Capuzzi. Okay, so Mike Capuzzi, Info Mastermind member Mike Capuzzi. So how many people here have ever used copy doodles? Okay, so you have your copy doodle groupies here, okay? If you haven't used copy doodles, if your hand didn't go up, you should be using copy doodles only if you want to get better results and make more money. If you don't want to get better results and make more money, don't use copy doodles, okay? And so you're going to be doing a session tomorrow. People have a choice for that to see how to use copy doodles. And if you're using copy doodles, there's some new really cool things that you put. It's like on steroids. Forgive me if I offend anybody what I'm about to say, but when he first showed it to me, my comments to Mike was exact words were, "This is some good shit." So it's really amazing what he's done. So Mike will be in session number 2. I'm going to be doing a breakout session tomorrow morning also, and it's not for everybody. It's not for most of you. If anybody is interested in, we have people always ask us for how can they do a special arrangements with us to be a super affiliate with some of our best products to offer to your list. So you're an information marketer or you want to get into the information marketing business to be able to offer Glazer Kennedy resources to your list. I'm going to be doing a special session just for people that are interested in that, and that will be in, I guess, over there. Is that right, Sherry? Wherever Sherry is, over there. And also, during that little session, I'm going to show you sort of the 8 factors that I used to grow the Glazer Kennedy business by 23 times in the last 5 years. So I'll be talking about that as well. If you're already are involved with the Jumbo Results Marketing Super Affiliate Program, no need to be there at all. Attend one of these sessions. Only if you're interested in finding out about that, please join me tomorrow morning. Then session number 2, we have Dave Fries. I think I saw Dave. There he is, Dave Fries. Is Alex here?
Alex is here.
Okay, I got to find my man Alex. So Alex is what we call in Glazer Kennedy one of the really good guy attorneys. As a matter of fact, we got them all in Glazer Kennedy, all 6 of them. So Dave's going to be here, and he's going to be talking to you about how to make your product, services, and offers irresistible to the most profitable buyers. He's a terrific speaker, and I think what he has to share will be very, very valuable for you. So you can choose him during that session, or Russell Brunson. Come on up here. So Russell, have you ever seen 8:30 in the morning before?
No.
Never saw it. So Russell's an Info Mastermind member. He's considered to be one of the smartest young internet marketers that are out there right now. Well, how old are you now? 13 or 14? 13. And he's going to be talking about traffic attraction breakthroughs. He's just brilliant at getting traffic. He has a brand new thing that he's sort of just invented, which is, can I reveal the words? Micro-continuity, do new things. It's one thing, but it's one called micro-continuity. He's going to be sharing that with you. So if you're interested in putting this whole information marketing, to online marketing on your business using the internet with getting more traffic and also keeping them longer, which is very interesting, what he's become very scientific at. You want to join Russell's session tomorrow. And then last but not least, Dean Killingbeck. If you're looking for the business to add on to your business, how do I add on the business to my business? Where I can add on 6 figures a year, easily 6 figures a year. He has really mastered the done-for-you direct mail business where you can offer it to other people in order for them to get more new customers. If you ask people what they want, They will tell you they want more new customers, and they want the customers they got to come back more often. If you're interested in learning how to add on a business to your business, you want to spend time with Dean Killingbeck tomorrow. After that, Dan Kennedy and I are going to be doing a special session about the independent business advisor opportunity. So if you're interested in becoming an independent business advisor in your local area, please join Dan and I on that session. Ryan Dice, where's Ryan? The other guy. Have you ever seen 8:30 in the morning?
I got 2 kids. I see.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. And by the way, Ryan has got how old's the little one now?
Just turned 1.
Just. He's.
I'm very well acquainted with it.
So Ryan was our #1 speaker at our Info Summit, and he talks about actually having to put together membership sites. He's considered the world's most leading authority on membership sites that there is, and the reason why he's considered that is because I just said that. And so people just loved his presentation at the Info Summit, and I asked him as a favor to me to come here and to talk to you also about membership sites. He was happy to do it because now he didn't have to get up in the middle of the night to take care of his 2 kids. So Ryan will be with you as a choice. And then we have the beginning of our women's session. And so we have our first of 3 women's session. This is brand new to Glazer Kennedy, and we did it because we've seen the rising amount of women that are now joining us in these events. So our very first speaker again will be Lee Miltier, and she'll be talking about competing successfully in a man's world. And I got to tell you, when we usually sit around and we have like lunch or dinner together when we're out at our peak performers meetings or wherever we're speaking or something like that, and I'm listening to her sort of story of how she was so successful competing in a man's world, I hope you hold nothing back. Okay, so it's just, I mean, she's extraordinarily successful, and she's done it her way, and she's going to tell all the women how to do it her way. So that's over here, Sherry. FG is our women's session. So Lee will be our first of 3. Then we'll break for lunch on Friday, and then also at lunch, members of my Info Mastermind groups and also Platinum, there's a special session that I have for you, 3 groups, Info Mastermind 1, Info Mastermind 2, and also Platinum. You can join me for lunch. I'll be doing a special session with you. You do need to have a ticket for that to get in. So if you haven't got your ticket for that and you're in one of those 3 groups, please see one of the staff people and we'll get that for you. Then after lunch, Dan Kennedy, which I believe is over here, is doing a special Q&A session for people that are peak performer members, and also there's some folks that have earned a special ticket to come to that Q&A session with Dan. You do have to have a ticket for that. If you're supposed to have a ticket for that, peak performer members or somebody that's earned that ticket, please see one of our staff members. I will be doing, the people that were in my Info Mastermind group in Platinum, they will be staying with me for back-to-back sessions because the topic I'm going to be teaching them or talking about, it takes me more than 1 session, so we'll be staying together. And then Alexandria Brown will be up for our other women's section. So Allie, this is her first of 2 talks that she's doing. She's doing a general talk for the entire group, but then she's also going to be talking to the women only, okay? And Allie is what we see. Men want to be. You're going to get pissed when I say this. Men want to become what's known as babe magnets, okay? Allie is actually a women magnet because women just gravitate to her. You know, I spoke at her event 2 years ago, and it was a really tough presentation because I was in a room with 300 women. I mean, I had to suffer through that. So it was just wonderful. I had more hugs than I've ever had in my life. So she's going to talk about the women advantage, how to design your desired life, and she actually epitomizes that. So Allie is going to be doing a session on that. And then also at 12:40 to 3:45, I think we're going to, at this point, if you're not in one of those 3 sessions, the exhibit area will be open again. So if you're not a woman and don't have a special Q&A ticket, or if you're not in one of my Info Mastermind groups or in Platinum, then this whole exhibition area will be open for you, so you got stuff to do and see our vendors. Then after that, Robert Scrobe and Brad Saul. So Robert, there you go. The president of the Information Marketing Association, but also Robert, because of that, has developed an unbelievable skill set of figuring out how to do online, web, and offline radio shows to grow your business. So him, and along with Brad Saul, who's another expert, will be talking about generating customers with your own radio show, either online or offline. So if you're interested in that, which you should be, you can join Robert. Paul Hartunian, who I don't think is quite here yet, he's out there selling the Brooklyn Bridge right now. He'll be here if you're looking for how to turn one measly press release into an online, offline empire to get free press. He'll be sharing that with you. And then Debbie Phillips. Where's Debbie? There's Debbie. Debbie. What did you say to me last night when you saw me?
I said, you are so handsome.
No, that's not. You said to me,
I said, I'm so glad to see you.
That's what, and I said to Debbie, I just wish my wife would say that. So Debbie, who,
What my husband said.
yeah, that's right. So Debbie has an unbelievable group called Women on Fire. And
Women on Fire here.
yeah, hey, there are women on fire here. And Debbie is willing to do a live demonstration for Women on Fire. She's going to set one ablaze. So make sure you come to that session. So Debbie's going to be really talking to you about how to really bring your real dreams to life. And she is just an expert at that. And you do not want to miss Debbie for that. Any of the women in the room, you want to be sitting in that session. All three of those women's sessions, you really want to be sitting in there. It's very, very special happening. No men are allowed at all. So Debbie Phillips. All right, and then we'll have our dinner break. And again, at that point, if you're on the breakout sessions, you've got to take with you your stuff with you, because then the room is going to be turned back into one big ballroom, and at that time, you're going to have Dan Kenny Unplugged. And I can tell you right now that I have, with 100% certainty, can tell you that I got no idea what the hell he's going to say tomorrow night. And I do know that we've had a lot of people that have sent in questions, and we've given it to Dan. You should see some of these questions that have come in. So he's going to be just sort of let loose to do whatever he wants to say. This could be one of the places that you find the $1 million idea that you've been looking for, or it also could be the one area that I can say to myself, I'll never do this again because this was totally disastrous and people are going to be like hating us. So you can figure out which one is going to happen tomorrow night, because I've sort of given him total reign to do what he's going to do tomorrow night. So after that, we're going to do a special book signing opportunity in the International Ballroom, which is downstairs, I guess, Sherry? Downstairs. And you can go down there, and Dan will be down there. Sidney Biddle-Bowers will be down there. Dan will sign any of his books. Sidney Biddle-Bowers will sign a new book, Uncensored Sales Secrets, I believe it's called. She'll be down there. That was co-authored with Dan. And also, my new book is finally here. I'll be talking a little bit about that later on. It's finally here. Very proud of it. I was able to get it done very quickly in 2.5 years. And my new book is here. I'll tell you about it a little bit more, but I'll also sign my new book. I have some new commemorative edition that I'll be signing for you tomorrow night. Then we have Friday, evening section, and then after that at 9 to 11, the pre-function area is open, which our exhibitors will be open again. And also we have our famous roundtables. And we have 10 experts that have agreed to host a roundtable. Many of them are the speakers that are here, and some other ones are people that we know that really are experts in their own area. So Chris Bowman will be talking about marketing to professional practices. Russell Brunson's going to be doing one on internet marketing. Mike Capuzzi on copy cosmetics. Dave Fries on persuasion marketing. Lloyd Irving is my Info Mastermind group. Is Lloyd in the room yet? Where are you? There you are. Lloyd will be in the room. Lloyd is like the best at getting things done quickly because he has his gun to the head strategy that he'll tell everybody, and he's serious about it. He's killed about 18 people with this who didn't get things done quickly enough. Lloyd will be here. Dean Killingbeck, Keith Lee, who's the 3D mail guy. He'll be doing a special session on how to use dimensional mail in your business. Debbie Phillips on the Women on Fire will be doing it. Tom Rebar, who's our independent business advisor, will be talking about B2B marketing. A lot of members always ask about B2B marketing, and Mike Stewart has agreed to do one on video marketing as well. So we have 10 great folks to do roundtables. This is your opportunity to go up to them, ask your specific questions, and get your specific answers. And as I said, the exhibition area will be open as well. On Saturday, I'm going to be doing a session on Bill Glazer to the Rescue Part 2. So Dan will be talking about it with you shortly, and then I'll be showing you a huge show and tell. We did a big call out to all of our Peak Performer members, Info Mastermind members, and also to our membership in general to send in your best stuff. And I went through it all painfully and looked at everything that was sent to me, and I picked out the best stuff. And I'm going to be showing you actual examples that you can actually use in your business with real results. Again, everything that was a requirement is people had to give me their results to show you how this stuff was working. Then Allie will be back again. And Allie's going to be doing a general session on how to cash in big on personality-driven marketing and go from nowhere to millionaire. So I don't know that you ever went from nowhere, but you were pretty close to there at one point. But I can also tell you, having worked with Allie for 3 years, she is a millionaire. That part is for sure true. And every year we keep adding more and more millions to that. So she's got the formula, and she's going to be teaching you that formula tomorrow on Saturday. And then Dan will be back again, which to talk about the number one way to gain expert status and build instant credibility. I was at the chapter meeting, in the local Chicago chapter meeting last night, speaking there, and I told people that the easiest way to charge premium pricing and also have you be the one that people want to buy from you is to move yourself away from being a seller of your product and service to becoming an expert, authority, a celebrity of your product and service. And Dan will be doing a talk on that with you after that. Then I will be back with you and talking about expert positioning and income breakthroughs, up-to-date business everybody needs to be in one way or the other, which is info marketing. Now, there's a bunch of you in the room that are saying to yourselves right now, I should not be in the information marketing business. I'm going to be doing a live demonstration I want you to come to that session and tell me your story of how you should not be in the information marketing business. And I will show you live how you should be in the information marketing business. Everybody should be in the information marketing business, whether you make a nickel selling information or not. You should be in the information marketing business. And then I'm also going to do a special session. People always ask me all the time, how do I actually implement Glazer Kennedy marketing in your business? So I'm going to be doing a special session after that on how to implement Glazer Kennedy marketing in your business. And at that time also, time permitting, I'll take open Q&A as I go along. I also will tell you something else, and this is really important, okay, is that my job, actually Dan and my job, is to bring you the finest people that we can find in order to teach you things that you need to know in order to skyrocket your business. It's also our job, and I mean this sincerely, is when these people have resources that are available that you can invest in order to take what they teach you to the next level. Because what they can do is they can show you the opportunity in 70 minutes, but they can't teach you everything in 70 minutes. Some of them, not all of them, some of them are going to be making resources available to you. Your job is to be here hunting for the right resources while you're here that you can use in order to say, gee, I want to add this to my business. I want to learn this skill set for my business. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask them to make those resources available to you, and I do not feel badly about it at all. So you're here to see if there's resources that are available for you. If there are, your job is to pick out those resources that there are, and you need to invest in yourself while you are here. The other reason why you're here is also not only looking for resources to invest in, you're looking for people to hook up with. So what I suggest you do. I come from a little different era. Two little kids, right? You're here to network. Is that better? You're here to network with the right people to build lasting relationships of intellectual resources to help each other out. I clean that up nicely? Thank you. So, or hook up with Ryan. All right, so that's what you're here to do. That's sort of your job in the next couple of days. Then we'll do the dinner break, And then after the dinner break, we will have our Market of the Year boardroom session. Who here was here last year for the boardroom session? Okay, it was just spectacular. I guarantee you it will be more spectacular this year. We have Christy Frank, who was season 1 apprentice. Christy in the room? Where's Christy? See the season. Where are you? There's season 1 apprentice on the Donald show, The Apprentice, and she competed for that. She's going to be our moderator, and we have a panel of expert judges, which we affectionately call Beauty and the Two Beasts. And here they are, Beauty and the Two Beasts. That will be your panel of judges that will be judging this. And so you'll be seeing this. You'll learn a little bit more about this later on today. And then we'll be having our closing ceremonies. And then those of you that are staying for Sunday, which I believe is, how many of you are staying for Sunday? Okay. So anybody who's not staying for Sunday, you want to stay for Sunday, so you can see somebody in the back of the room in order to add that day on. The secrets to maximum profits now from direct mail. How many of you are using direct mail in your business? Wow, beautiful. How many of you are not using direct mail in your business? You need to be there more than any of the people that are using direct mail in your business, because regardless of what you think, there's nothing more effective to be using your business than direct mail. And Dan's going to be doing an unbelievable show and tell of how to use direct mail in the business with a lot of very sophisticated list segmentation that we use. I'm also going to be showing you about an hour of examples of how we actually do it at Glazer Kennedy with list segmentation. I've never shown this before, so you can all see how we manipulate you in our list segmentation. So it'd be very, very well worth you all in order to do that. So listen, thank you. I'm going to go over a couple more things. You guys can leave because I can see you all getting antsy. You got to go hook up with some people. In your bags, you got a binder, and in your binder, you have a couple of things. One of them is big marketing and money-making ideas. You should be using this as you go along with actually, when you get big ideas, write them down, how much it'll be worth to you, and then start prioritizing them, because when you leave here, you're going to have too many ideas. So prioritize them in the order that you want them to be. A couple of things. We did this last time, and we're now going to be doing it again, is we're doing a special raffle ticket contest. Every time you go to the back of the table there and you invest in any of the clothing, t-shirts, no BS gift items, any of the Glazer Kennedy marketing and money-making resources, anything that you invest in back at that table, you will be getting a ticket for a raffle. As long as you, thanks guys. Sorry, I don't know if I did that or you did that. As long as you are here during closing ceremonies, we'll be calling out the numbers on the ticket. Last time we had 2 prizes that were available. This time we've expanded it. We have, every speaker has agreed to give a 30-minute consultation as a prize, and I'm going to be giving away a 2-hour consultation as the grand prize for your business. So you've got to be in the room. So when you go back there, you can buy a t-shirt. As a matter of fact, we have the limited edition, I wish I had one here, limited edition super conference t-shirt that's back there. Anything you can buy at all, you get a ticket for every purchase that you make. It goes into the hat. You got to have your tickets here during closing ceremonies. I'll call them out. We're going to give away 10, 12 different prizes this year, so that's going to be a lot of fun. It always was. Also, I want to thank our Kansas vendors for sponsoring our Diamond Lounge. City Blueprint, City Print, McManus, and Handy Mailing. Thank you very much. Let's give them a... All of our Diamond members, the lounge will be open throughout the super conference at special times. You're free to go in there, sit down, get something to eat, get something to drink. You're also free to go in there, and there's tables set up. You can network with other people, have little private meetings. It's for Diamond members only, and that's available to you as well. Featured guests that we have here. Our independent business advisors, please stand up. So these are all the guys that are out there working in the trenches, actually working with Glazer Kennedy members to implement Glazer Kennedy marketing in their business. You should be attending their local chapter meetings and possibly being involved in their mastermind groups. The other thing is I need some help, guys, because I've lost my thing here. I wanted to tell you about our video crew. Thank you. Info Mastermind 1, 2, and Platinum members stand up. Info Mastermind 1, 2, and Platinum members. So these are, stand up because these are some of the brightest people in the room, and I tell you to look at them very carefully because those are the people that you should bother on the breaks, not Dan and I, okay? So Info Mastermind 1 and 2. Peak Performers and Peak Performer Plus members stand up. So this is sort of the incestual fraternity that we've created here, where we get together 3 times a year and we mastermind. There's approximately 80 folks right now in that group. So these are Peak Performer Plus members. And then also, you also should have your new book in there, which is the new anthology book for Peak Performers. So you get to meet a lot of them. And the people that are the authors of that book, would you please stand up for a second? The authors that people have a chapter in that book. Okay, so these are folks that have a chapter in that book. You should seek them out while you're here. Our mini hosts, these are people that will be introducing people during the breakout sessions. Christy Frank, who you already met, Lee Miltier you met, Robert Scrobe you met, and the last one is Howard Zeiden, who's our Vice President of our area services. He will also be introducing people during the couple of days. Countries represented. So I asked you, I hope we get this right, because we always screw this up, but just stand up if you are traveling here from outside of the United States and you were from one of these countries. Stand up. There you go. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you making the long trek over here. So, as you can see, we are global, not local. Also, congratulations to our winner, Wes Murph. Is Wes in the room? Wes Murph in the room? Stand up, Wes. I've never met you. I've heard about you, but I've never met you. So Wes, he actually gave us the winning entry for our Celebrity Promotion Sample Book, which we are going to be making available for sale very shortly. But you all got it as a gift for being here, all the primary registrants. So I'm told that right after lunch today, take your ticket to the back table there, turn it in, and you will get your free copy of the Celebrity Promotions Manual, which we will be selling for $197 to general membership. You got it for free as a gift for coming here. So, so you go back there and get that after lunch today. Jim Rohn, one of the we had Jim speak at our super conference, I think it was 2 or 3, probably 3 years ago now. One of the great speakers and pretty much modern day philosophers of our time. His quote is, "Take a millionaire to lunch." You're in the room with lots of millionaires. Your job is to sort of meet them while you're here and offer to take them to lunch. You're looking for people that you can actually network with and meet and build lasting relationships with. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to bring Dan up here, and I'm doing this on time, by the way, which I'm very excited about. So Dan, in the Ultimate Success Secret book, he wrote this one statement, which is, if there is one single secret to success of such overriding importance that if concentrated upon exclusively will literally change a person's entire life experience and results, if so, what is it? Now, he says that in his book. The book delivers the answer to that question, but not in word form, but in lesson form. On our closing ceremonies, we're going to talk about what that is. But you want to make sure you learn this one secret while you're here, and we will reveal that. So now, I'm going to be bringing up Dan. So when I think about Dan, I think about, like, what's the best way to describe Dan? So one of them, he's been known as, when I first met him, he was called the Professor of Harsh Reality, which is true, the millionaire maker, and a lot of people are out there right now telling you they're the millionaire makers, but the truth of the matter is he is the millionaire maker. In the information marketing business, he's widely considered to be the coach's coach, and he really is. I mean, to all the information marketers who are coaches, he's their coach. Recently, he's the creator of The Phenomenon, which is over 40,000 copies of that have been distributed, the creator of The Phenomenon. Lee Miltier has the favorite moniker I like, which she named him, which is my favorite. He's the Napoleon Hill of the 21st century. But let me just ask you all a question before I bring Dan up. How many people here have made money because of you learning from Dan Kennedy? So do me a favor. If you raised your hand, would you please stand up and give Dan a standing ovation, Mr. Dan Kennedy.
Thank you. Not necessary, but appreciated. Hey, I got it on. There we go. Not necessary, but appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's completely inappropriate of Bill to have identified Allie as a beast. I thought that was rather tasteless myself. I made a note somewhere that the president missed a couple of really important presidential announcements. Wipe your hands after you go to the toilet, cover your mouth when you sneeze, keep your tires inflated to their proper inflation level, and get your car tuned up on a regular basis. So he missed those this morning. You might want to. We're supposed to talk about the recession. Worrying about that at the moment seems sort of anticlimactic now that we have, deadly pig flu. And I said, when we put the list up there of all the people from all those countries who've joined us, I said to Lee, just imagine the diversity of viruses and diseases that they've brought into the room with them from all of those places that the rest of us, our immune systems are completely ill-equipped, to deal with. So I wanted to make all you feel welcome. And, we got the poison food, and we got I'm sure you saw the news now that the drinking water is all full of drugs and narcotics and disposed of Prozac and, all of that, which if you've looked at the water out of the tap here, if you haven't, pour yourself a glass and let it sit for a couple of minutes, and you'll notice we have, Iran and North Korea, and we even have pirates. So it's pirates. It seems like worrying about the recession is sort of, almost passé. But it was the topic assigned, so it's the topic we'll do. And the first thing I would say to you about it is that I'm going to give you the three ways to get out of it, the three things to do, the three marketing things to do to basically make a recession irrelevant to you. But sort of as preface, what I would say is that the death of consumer spending is greatly exaggerated. If you pay attention to that news all the time, you miss most of the other news. You can still go. I'm sure many of you have had the experience. You can still go to a Best Buy parking lot, and there's cars there. This, by the way, is not what was going on during the Great Depression. Everything I've read indicates nobody was over at Best Buy waiting in line to buy an iPhone. So similarities between where we are now and where we were then seem to be greatly exaggerated. Two, in most business categories, consumer spending is off in single-digit percentages. There are exceptions. There are geographic pockets. There are certain product and service categories that are harder hit than others. But for the most part, we're talking about single-digit percentages of drops. Interestingly, the middle of the market in most markets is hit hardest, right? So if you think restaurants, the middle chains, the Apple Chili's and Olive Fridays, those guys. Well, I say it that way because, see, their problem, the recession is exposed really in many businesses are fundamental weaknesses that were there anyway, and we needed this sort of enema to flush some of it out of our system. We really don't need 8 restaurants diagonally across from each other that are identical except for the name on the door. And so this sort of sameness has caught up with people. But for the most part, there's still a lot of money moving. There's still a lot of money being spent. And it's there for you to get if you wish to get it. So you ought not really be focusing on the percentage that spending is down in a category. You ought to be focusing on the spending that is still, of course, continuing and there for you to get. There's 2 things to think about. There's the ability to buy, and there's the willingness to buy. So ability to buy compromised. Certain people, certain segments of the population absolutely required to restrain their spending in ways that they were not before. That exists. It's very real for both the fact that they may have less money or they may have less credit. And if they've been doing all their spending with credit, they are affected. So willingness to buy is legitimately affected, or ability. Far more affected is their willingness to buy. Their mental attitude about spending, their emotional attitude about spending, even whether or not they wish to be seen spending. Their ability to buy, you can't do much about. So spending a whole lot of time monitoring those statistics and listening to that news and paying attention to compromised ability to buy is not very productive because there's not much you can do about it other than find ways not to be dealing with those people whose ability to buy is significantly compromised. But willingness to buy, that we can do a lot about because that's psychological. It's not practical or monetary. It has to do with how the consumer is thinking and feeling about themselves, about the economy, about the products and services they buy and the vendors that they buy them from. So we should put all of our focus, or nearly all of our focus, on this issue of will they buy, not really can they buy or can't they buy. And their willingness to buy has been compromised in many different ways, which we'll talk about as we go along this morning. Some are being more thoughtful. Some feel they should appear to be more responsible. Some feel they should appear not to be irresponsible. This is a window sign from a very successful high-end fashion store in New York. I like it a lot. The cashmere sweater, $2,500. The recession price, $2,500. Lamb's fleece jacket, $11,000. Recession price, $11,000. And it was the merchant making a statement about really everybody's sort of stampede to discounting as the first and foremost reaction to any piece of bad economic news. Interestingly, they have had a small number of people pretty much every day come in and express their disapproval of the sign and how insensitive and inappropriate it is. They have had a larger number of people coming in to praise the sign and buy things at full price. And so even though, generally speaking, luxury goods retailers, particularly in Manhattan, are suffering some diminishment of sales right now, this particular store's sales are up, proving, amongst other things, my axiom that if you don't offend somebody by noon every day, you're not really doing much at all. And so offending people is profitable for him. So let's talk about why people still buy during the recession. Why don't they just stop altogether? It's a little clammy up here. Why don't they stop? Well, some people continue to buy because they have to, right? Because of necessity or perceived necessity. And so kids are going to go to school. Kids have to have shoes. We're buying shoes. Recession, no recession. Right? We may not buy shoes for ourselves, but we're going to buy shoes for the kids. So one is necessity. That, again, is not all that useful to you because, of course, necessities tend to be commoditized. The other reason people keep buying during a recession is that their personal interests and passions always take precedence over pocketbook as a governing device. Everybody continues to spend on something. The percentage of poor people who smoke is 5 times higher than the percentage of affluent people who smoke. So I suppose from the standpoint of the costs of long-term lifetime health care in America, that's good news for those of us paying the bills, but that's neither here nor there. So 5 times more poor people smoke. What's a pack of cigarettes cost now? Well, how much? $6. I got $6 over here. She knows. Anybody got a higher number? 8. Okay, $8 over there. See, you should be buying your smokes where she's getting hers. See, because make a big difference over a year's time. All right, so $8, $6 a pack. All right. I have this sort of schizophrenic life. So half of my life is like with you guys and with business people. Half of my life is at the racetrack with track people. And most of them don't make much money. Most of them, by most people's standards, are poor. A huge number of them smoke. None of them are quitting. Why not? Surely the first thing you would do in a recession, if you are cash tight, if you really don't have money, is you'd stop smoking. Why don't they? Well, because to them, to that person, that smoking is his thing. So everybody has at least one thing for which they will not stop spending no matter what. Now, ideally, you don't want to be selling to people whose thing is an $8 thing. You want to be selling to people whose thing is an $80 thing or an $800 thing or an $8,000 thing. But the point is, everybody in here has something. I mean, God forbid if things got really, 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 really bad and you were burning your furniture in the fireplace in the winter for heat, there's something you'd still be spending money on that was not a necessity, but it was your thing. I saw a guy 3 nights ago, his truck's parked at the track, it's got one tire blown out. It's been sitting there for a while with one tire blown out. And I kind of kidded him about how long it had been sitting there. And he said, yeah, he said the biggest inconvenience, he didn't say inconvenience, but he referred to pain in an anatomical part. But he said the biggest inconvenience is now that spring's here, 2 or 3 times a week, I got to get somebody to drive me to the golf course to play golf. I know it's early, but now think about this. There's a truck over here, which is his primary means of transportation, which needs a tire. How much is a tire? I don't happen to know. How much is a tire? $50, give or take? Cheap basic tire? Can you still buy, when I had old bad cars, you could buy used ones. Can you still buy recap tires? So he could buy a recap tire, right? A round of golf at a municipal course is $20. 3 times a week, he's getting somebody to give him a lift to the golf course. 1 week, he could have a tire. All right. But which is he going to give up? A week of golf or his transportation? It tells you a lot. And he is not an isolated case by any stretch of the imagination. The third reason people keep buying during the recession is really the one we can do the most about. They keep buying because somebody actually makes an attempt at selling them something. Now this is becoming a revolutionary concept, right? Because pretty much everybody's in surrender mode, right? They aren't trying to sell because they think nobody's buying. So what happens in every recession, it starts with big dumb companies and then it filters down. They cut back on their advertising, marketing, and sales budgets and efforts in order to save money on the premise that nobody's buying. I just saw yesterday Anheuser-Busch notified NBC that they'll be spending only half as much as they have spent before on advertising during the Olympics for beer, the official beer of the Olympians. Either one of two things is true. Either that advertising is stupid and wasteful to start with, or the people running Anheuser-Busch are imbeciles. You take your pick. Actually, you could put them together if you like. But if the advertising's not stupid and wasteful on a regular basis, then cutting it in half because there's a receipt, that's not the thing to cut. Right? You want to get out there and spend more to sell more beer and spend more than your competitors because maybe you can get somebody to switch from the beer to your beer now. Well, the other guy's not spending as much, but everybody starts to cut back on selling. So I say you can't fix stupid. So Lincoln Benefit Life is a company which we bought our long-term care insurance from. And so every so often they send you a statement. Mine, it's prepaid. I don't make payments, it's prepaid. So every so often you get a statement just kind of letting you know they're still around and telling you you're paid up, which I already knew. But I think quarterly they send this statement that just basically says, we're still here, which I didn't used to wonder about, but now, you know, they're called statement stuffers to do cross-selling, right? And so there used to be like a pitch in with the statement for something. Last two statements, guess what? No pitch. So some bean counter sat in a room and decided, since nobody will buy anything now anyway, let's save the cost of the statement stuffers. We just, and very grudgingly, because you couldn't have tried to undo this sale with any more vigor than these guys did. But we just had the whiz-bang, turn your closet into showplace guys come out and do the closets in one of our homes. So they were there in a plain white van with no signage, parked twice in a neighborhood where houses are in a circle. Now, seemingly, you want like a big sign, don't you? All right? My guess is new van, extra $200, $300 for the sign. All right? No attempt to upsell anything. You're only doing one closet. Probably a second closet in the house somewhere. Odds are. Probably a room, maybe, building shelves, something. No attempt whatsoever. No referral request. No, gee, let's invite, not that this would have worked with me, but it will work with some people. You know, no, let's invite your neighbors over for the break the bottle of champagne over the middle shelf, disembarkation, beginning of the new closet's life, celebration, party. Here's the pre-done invitations and nothing. No attempt to sell, nothing. All right. We have a local restaurant, pretty popular restaurant, doing very, very well. It's independent, run by a very nice couple. They just closed for 2 weeks in order to go to Italy on vacation. Didn't seem real bright to me because they got a bunch of customers that they took about 2 years ago when they opened from a restaurant that has been down the street that's been there since the beginning of time, and now being closed for 2 weeks, my guess is a bunch of people go back to the other one and they give them another shot. But as the owner said, there's nobody we would dare leave in charge for 2 weeks. He pointed out to me that when I am there and he's gone for 15 minutes, it's a disaster, so imagine what would happen in 2 weeks. So I understand his managerial pain, but no promotion prior to, no promotion setting up the return, no selling whatsoever. Well, so one of the reasons that spending's down is because selling is down. That's why a lot of spending is down, is because selling is down. Nobody's really trying, based upon the premise that nobody's buying. So they put themselves in their own little catch-22, and they are convinced they can't get out. One of the reasons people do buy during the recession is somebody takes a whack at selling them something. So let's talk about the 3 ways to get out if you are affected. We'll go through them one by one. One is to sell to someone different. The second one is to sell differently. And the third is to sell something different. Those are really your 3 choices when faced with an economic downturn. So, selling to somebody different. There are really 2 types of customers who are pretty eager to buy right now. Almost every customer will buy, given the right circumstances, but there's 2 kinds of customers that are particularly cool to concentrate on. One are what I would call opportunists. They're value buyers, and so they've been contemplating doing something, putting in a closet, buying an RV, whatever, getting hair transplants, whatever they've been contemplating, and now they see this as an opportunity. It could be pointed out to them this is an opportunity. They can buy something they thought they couldn't afford because now it's at a better price than it was before. So they're value buyers, okay? And you can communicate to them with a value message. Okay? Then there are, my personal favorite group is what I would call the recession resistors, the people who are motivated by that sign in the retail window, the people who are sort of defiant about the whole thing, and I'll be damned if I'll give up my fine wine or my dinner out or my whatever. And they literally will buy to validate their belief that this is temporary and that this only affects the weak and the dumb. It doesn't affect me. And so they will buy because of that sort of emotional validation. Now, sometimes you have to make it sort of possible for them. I'm told that the stores on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills right now, huge upswing in the number of people who wish to have what they buy delivered to their homes. Why the increase in home deliveries? Because they don't want to be seen schlepping down the street, dragging the bags from the fancy, pricey stores. It's unseemly. Right? It's not that they're not buying. It's not that they don't want to buy. And some of them definitely are eager to buy to validate their status and position in life. But on the other hand, they don't want to be seen. So you got to give them good justification, good reason to buy. The auto industry I've seen some dealers, maybe there are some in your area, I've seen a couple in my area who have gotten smart about this thing and are doing a pretty good job. If you stop to think about it, if you go out right now and buy yourself a brand new $45,000, $50,000 gas guzzling, climate destroying SUV, which I urge you to do, but if you do, you might give pause to driving it home and putting it in a driveway if you know that your neighbor directly across the street, who you know reasonably well, lost his job 3 months ago and maybe headed towards foreclosure, and the person who lives 3 doors down the street on the other side is also in economic trouble. That might actually give you pause, and so a message has to be crafted to make it okay to do the spending you would like to spend anyway. And these dealers have gotten pretty good at, it's a patriotic thing to buy this car. You're preserving jobs, you're helping the factory we have here in the community. So they've gotten pretty good at that message. So in terms of who you sell to, you got to think about who has the ability to buy. No point really in trying to sell to people who don't. Who has the willingness to buy, and then how can we help them along? So different customers are right at different times for different businesses. You may be able to move up a little right now to a better breed of customer who is stepping down a little bit. You may need to reach down a little bit, but one way or another, we can sell to someone different. We can also think about expanding our boundaries. It is a pet peeve of mine that everybody is so in love with the internet and still doing business as if we traveled by mule and had no means of getting goods from one part of the country to the other, and people didn't travel very far to do business. And so a lot of people are still behaving very provincially, all of my customers have to come from a 3-mile radius around my place of business, and now everybody in a 3-mile radius around my place of business is in financial trouble because they're closing the factory, and therefore I have to be in trouble too. This is as antiquated as the day is long. People travel now greater distances. They buy things sight unseen. My longtime favorite example, who I know is here because I saw him this morning, Darren Garman. I don't know, you want to wave your arm in the air or stand up wherever you are. If you're there, you are, all the way in the back. By the way, I always have to teach you guys this. Like when I did that, he's not up here. So if you want to see him, you got to look that away, okay? Because the odds of him standing up here are not good. And when Bill was doing shows of hands, all the hands are out there. And by the closer you are to me, the more of them are behind you. So if you want to see what's going on, when something like that happens, you got to turn yourself around. And I know a few of you are arthritic, I understand, but for the rest of you, you got to look in that other direction. So Darren, as many of you know, sells investment properties in Iowa to people who don't live in Iowa. And I can assure you, he'd probably be in trouble right now. He'd be suffering if his business was what it was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, whenever it was that we first got together, when he was a very traditional real estate broker handling apartment buildings and commercial properties sold by Cedar Rapids citizens to Cedar Rapids citizens. I'll bet he'd be suffering a lot more than, if he is suffering at all, than he is now selling Cedar Rapids product to investors from all over the country and in fact all over the world, because there's a bigger pool to draw from. There's more whose willingness to buy is uncompromised, whose ability to buy is uncompromised. There's more of them to be found in the whole country than there is to be found within the confines of Cedar Rapids. And they buy apartment buildings, sight unseen, by sending them emails and taking them to a website, just like a catalog company. These guys are from Baltimore, and they sell crab cakes, fish. See, if you live anywhere but Baltimore, you know you can't get this. The only place you can get this is in Baltimore, so you have to have it shipped in. If you live in, I don't know, if you live in LA, Allie's horribly deprived living on the West Coast, you can't get fish there. You gotta have it shipped in from Baltimore, right? But see, right down the road from these guys though, there's somebody with the same product they got who's whining and moaning and crying and peeing because their business is off in the 4 square blocks in which they live in Baltimore. See, if you're still doing business in 4 square blocks, that's in your head. That's not in reality, because that's not how the consumer does business anymore. In any product category, even food. So no boundaries, right? We can go find different customers to sell to by changing our geography. This is pretty cool. Right now it's kind of hard to give away a Hummer here. Those cars, nobody wants them. People come up to you in the parking lot, scratch the side of your car, stick Al Gore bumper stickers on the thing. It's unpleasant. So, GM's probably going to dump the thing, I suppose, if they survive. Anybody in here drive one of these things? Huh? Are you like hiding it now, or are you driving it? You're driving it? Good for you. Good for you. Well, guess where sales of Hummer vehicles are booming? Anybody know? Iraq. Absolutely correct. Okay? And so there's a booming business taking pre-owned Hummers here that people are trading in at huge losses because they don't want to buy the gas or they're embarrassed to be driving them, and shipping those buggers over there to Iraq and selling them at 2 to 3 times the normal U.S. retail price. Okay? See, somewhere there's somebody always buying everything. Right? So anytime somebody says nobody's buying, they're just not looking in the right place. Right? Skip this. So we did sell someone different. Let's talk about sell differently. So here's Harley Davidson. You're not going to be able to see that real well, but I'll explain it. Here's Harley Davidson. They sell motorcycles, as you know. They are now having Tupperware parties for motorcycles. Okay? So they're having what they call garage parties, a contemporary twist on Tupperware parties for women riders. And they have a Rider's Edge training program, and people have graduation ceremonies, and they graduate from their training programs that they bought when they bought the motorcycle at a neighborhood garage party hosted by a woman who likes to ride and now wants to get all of her buddies to ride. And these parties are going on all across the country, just like Tupperware. Okay. So they're selling differently. Haven't changed the thing, they've just changed the way they sell it. Think you can't sell pricey stuff? The recession's always good for some businesses. This is catalog, like you might buy those crab cakes out of. This, however, sells coins. The one down here on the bottom, that's a $65,000 item. Comes with a free wood box. That one up there, that's a $9,999 item. It doesn't come with a free wood box. Okay? Just get the coins in little paper things. They're mailing catalogs. I just got it. I haven't been on their list before, so they're mailing new lists. That's what it means. It means they're renting lists that they weren't renting before, and they're mailing catalogs to sell $9,000 and $65,000 items. They have to be sending it to somebody, by the way, who can pick up the phone, call them, and put a $65,000 item on their MasterCard. All right? By the way, in case you didn't know it, there are people who can. I don't know if you are. I am. I could call. I could buy. So they got the right list in terms of ability to buy. Now, I don't happen to be willing to buy, but they got the right list in terms of ability to buy, and the very fact that I got it and have never been on their list before, and I've now received it 3 times over the past 5 months, tells me what? Tells me the list is working for them, even though I have not purchased from them. And so they are selling something either to different people than they were able to sell it to before, or they are selling differently than they were able to sell before, or both. So in terms of selling differently, we talked a little bit about this. You got to make it okay for people to buy now, right? And when you do, sometimes you can sell some luxury items. This is an article. Who sent me this? Becky Gomes, I think, our IBA from Pittsburgh. This is about the new ridiculous, in terms of financial numbers, the new green luxury cars. So the first crop of the Tesla $100,000 electric sports car. So what you save on gas over 5 centuries pays for that car. It's like free. They're all sold out before they even get them made. Bentley's got, let's see, Bentley, which, by the way, in case you didn't know it, Bentley's owned by Volkswagen, which is sort of high comedy in and of itself. How smart are you now driving an $80,000 Volkswagen? They're rolling out 9 new models in the $50,000 to $100,000 range that are all hybrid and flex fuel and all that stuff. So now you can drive that unseemly level of conspicuous consumption car because it has the little metal icon on the side that says green, Gore approved. See, now you're socially acceptable. You spent all that money and you are conspicuously consuming because you are saving the polar bears from extinction. By the way, I just got an article sent to me. There's a problem. There's too many polar bears now. So the guy running Bentley says, now listen to how different this is from what you've been hearing. The guy running Bentley says, millions of people have more than $30 million in net worth. Keyword, worldwide. Right? What's lacking now isn't the means to buy a Bentley Continental GT, which goes for about $200,000. What we are currently lacking is only a willingness to buy it. We fix that, we sell cars. See, he's got it, right? The CEO of Ferrari, they're not talking about the Ferrari in terms of an investment. You're on me when you should be on the Elmo. See, I warned you. They're now talking about the Ferrari as an investment grade product, right? See, so that now is a way of making it okay, right? It's like, since there's nothing else you can invest in that's worth a crap, right? And our cars hold their value. See, now you have a new defense. You have a new rationalization for running out and buying a Ferrari. 58-year-old married men with 3 kids in the room, pay attention. See, you can now sit her down and explain to her, okay, that the Ferraris hold their value better than any other investment. It's the safest place you can put your money right now. Okay? So Little Junior's college fund is far better taken out of that Fidelity fund and put into your Ferrari. Okay? Good luck with it, but you know. You all saw the Hyundai race to the market, speaking of the opposite end of the world, with the job loss guarantee, right? You know, you buy the car, you lose your job, we make the payments for X number of months, and yada yada. And then everybody, you know, rushed, they copied that one. So it wasn't a real sustainable advertising advantage. GM copied it, of course, with our money. Hyundai's backing it up with their money, but anyway, it got copied, right? It got copied because it worked, okay? Flooded those. Right? And so it's not limited to cars. This article somebody sent me, no fear lease, apartment complex, same deal. You lose your job, we make your apartment rent payments for 3 months. Then if you still have to leave, we don't damage your credit rating. And they had a big surge in rentals. So we can sell to different people. We can sell differently. And then last, we can sell something entirely different. Now, by that, I don't necessarily mean actually different. I mean presented differently, perceived differently, made to feel differently. I've told this story before. It's germane to this. I spoke some years ago. One of the many reasons I don't do a lot of speaking anymore is how annoying most of the clients are that you speak for. I spoke some years ago for the National Association that all the companies that make advertising specialties belong to, imprinted, you know, stuff, pens and hats and snow scrapers and, you know. And their big thing, their big complaint in life was, and I imagine still is, that their whole business has been commoditized by the internet, because you can sit at your desk now, and if you decide you're going to get an imprinted pen, you can price shop imprinted pens with 5,000 companies, and you can buy the cheapest pen, and this is death to them. And so I said from the front of the room, if you're in a commodity business, get out. And I got, it turns out, you know, they're not the brightest bulbs apparently on the planet. And so a number of people took me literally and went and like got up and left, so they didn't hear like the last half of the speech. And so sometimes you got to clean the stuff up like quick. So that crack about you bringing the diseases and viruses into the country, I didn't really mean you. See, I mean, you're all welcome. I might mean somebody else from your country, but I did, so I cleaned that up. So anyway, a bunch of people went and they complained, you know, about what I said, and I got this long-winded 8-page letter, which I still have. I keep all this stuff, the ones like this, because I find it amusing. So I got this long-winded 8-page letter from this woman about what a moron I was, and that I obviously came and spoke and didn't understand anything about their business because they're in a commodity business, and you know, how could you be so stupid, and you've insulted us, and on and on and on and on and on. The best answer to those I've ever seen, by the way, old speaker, he won't mean anything to most of you in the room, but his name is Charlie Jarvis, and Charlie used to send out, his answer to that was sending out a letter saying, I need to alert you some and is sending out insipid and stupid letters on it, and you will need to, you know, get the stuff under lock and key at your earliest opportunity. for years, I just had a rubber stamp made that said bullshit, and I used that. I don't know whatever happened to that, but and I handle as much correspondence now. So, because I don't use email. See, if I used email, I'd get, before I finish this speech, there'd be people emailing complaints during the thing. But since I don't, and you can't rubber stamp email, which is another problem. So these people were like, they didn't get it, you know. They're in a commodity business, and they think they're, so what I really mean is, if you're in a commodity business, you need to change it somehow so that you're not in a commodity business. You can still sell pens, but you can't let them be commoditized. So think about what Harley Davidson did. So not only are they selling differently, they really changed what they were selling. Now they're still delivering a motorcycle, right? But that really, in that environment and in that setting, it's not what they're selling. They're selling aspirations, they're selling a Declaration of Independence, they're selling belonging to a sorority, you know, they're selling the sisterhood, kumbaya, gather around a campfire, sing the feminist song thing, which this is sort of inside baseball, but I understand Debbie Phillips, who some of you will hear, was trying to organize like some sisterhood dinner with her and Allie and Lee Miltier, and I find it really funny picturing Miltier at the sisterhood dinner, holding hands and reciting the sorority pledge. You know, it probably not going to happen. She probably ruined the whole thing. But so I mean, that's what they're selling. The motorcycle's almost incidental to now what they've put together. The training, the class, the graduation, the red badge of courage, the hat, the whole thing. And so they're right? And so if you talk to people in the motorcycle business, I'm sure they would tell you right now, it's tough to sell a motorcycle right now. And they're probably right. But it's not tough to sell this. Okay? So you can sell something different and still sell the same thing. Sometimes you have to use your core business as a base to sell different things. Upscale restaurant in my area that we go to, called the Blue Canyon. My affluent group, it's one of the 3 places we went for a little backstage thing. Platinum, it's where we have our meetings at the hotel next to their place. It's a very nice restaurant. And probably not high priced by, say, Manhattan standards, but by Twinsburg, Ohio standards, they're at the top of the price tier. Okay? And so businesses, off a little bit. So what are they doing? Well, they're doing all sorts of stuff. Okay? They've added a wine school. They're organizing day trips for their customers. Everybody gets on a luxury coach and goes, and they go to a winery, and then they go to the casino up at Niagara Falls, and then they all come back and they have dinner. They just opened a gourmet cooking school for customers who want to come learn to cook like Blue Canyon chefs cook. So they're using their core business to sell a bunch of different things in order to bridge their gap. Disney, one of my favorites, although they have laid off some employees, they have made some cuts, they haven't cut any of their construction. And the latest thing one of their biggest businesses today is their timeshare business. They're huge in the timeshare business. The current CEO took the lid off that Eisner had on, and they're building these things. So the latest thing they're building are the giant tree houses. So if you can see that picture. And in true Disney fashion, they've come up with a word for this. They call it glamping, which is glamorous camping. Here's another view of it. So this is like a tree house, but it's a great big giant, thing up on stilts stuck out in the middle of the woods. It's not really a tree house. But it's selling a lot of timeshares because everybody wants to go. They're building a big new project in Hawaii right now because everybody wants to go to Hawaii. So, see, Disney's not just selling come to the amusement park anymore. They're selling all sorts of different things. They're in the business training business. They're in the excursion business. So they're using their core business to sell a lot of other different things. Presenting it differently, this is a watch, I guess. And somehow in that mess, apparently you can tell time. The price starts at $80,000. Anytime you see pricing, by the way, wording that says from in front of the price, see, that's not the price. We don't know exactly what it is, but from 80,000 means it ain't 80,000, right? So what are they selling? They're selling a racing machine on the wrist, all right? And they are in Car Freak magazines, all right? So they're selling to someone different than other, and they're selling a different thing, not a watch, right? This is pretty cool. These are Rosewood Resorts. You'll go see this if you get the Fluent letter. You're going to see this talked about in the No BS Marketing to the Fluent letter in the May issue. So these guys are in the resort business, right? And I'm just going to read you a couple things because it's so cool. Not Your Mother's Book Club. One of the most enduring and popular programs at Rosewood is the Hot Type program. Through an exclusive partnership with America's leading publishing houses, resort guests have access to advanced copies of books by authors, and then there's a long list of the authors. And the artist in resident concept gives you intimate dinner gatherings on the property with the famous authors and literary lions, an exclusive opportunity to mingle with some of the greatest authors of the 20th century. Now, I'm going to wager that the term intimate is stretched a little. Like the picture you get from that is, you know, you and maybe two other people sitting at the, but I'm sure that's not the case. Some years ago, they sold this thing I can't remember now what catalog, but you went to a Denver Broncos game with John Elway, you went to the locker room with John Elway, and you went out on field and ran a pattern and caught a pass from John Elway. And when you read it, the picture you got in your head was like you and John hanging out, you know. It's actually groups of 50. And so everybody lines up, and it's like, go! Choom, 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 choom. Okay, that's done. Let's go to lunch. So I imagine they're stretching intimate, you know, a little too. But the point is, yeah, they got a hotel and they got a beach, but that's not what they're selling. They're selling something entirely different. And in all probability, they're selling it to a different person than might want to just go lay on the beach. Sometimes selling something different creates a whole business, gives you a publicity angle. In Phoenix, where I lived for many years, this has turned out to be a very successful restaurant. I put it up here because nobody anymore should do a presentation without at least one picture like this in it. I figured that out. This is the Heart Attack Grill. And at the Heart Attack Grill, the waitresses are in like kind of nurse Hooters costumes. And, well, see the little hat has a little, you know, Red Cross kind of insignia on it. And the cooks are all in doctor outfits with stethoscopes, and they will wheel you out to your car afterwards in a wheelchair if you want them to. Their top product is the 8,000 calorie quadruple bypass burger, and then they got a single bypass burger and a double bypass burger, and flatliner fries, which are proudly cooked in lard, and and their slogan is a taste worth dying for. And and they've created this massive outcry, so dietitians and nutritionists and the local hospital and the media are attacking them, and fat guys are going there in droves. And but see, you wouldn't have to, if you were in a restaurant business, you wouldn't have to convert your whole restaurant. You could do this, you could do this gimmick one day a month and promote a lot of it, and you'd be selling something different one day a month, but you'd get a lot of buzz and you'd get a lot of excitement and you'd interest your customers. Something else in the restaurant business, very big right now, cocktail classes, so like cooking classes. So people want to learn how to be bartenders at home. They want to learn how to make drinks. So they're running cocktail classes at their restaurants. And of course they time them. So not only are people paying to be at the class, but then they're staying for happy hour and they're staying for dinner because by then they're too drunk to drive. And so that works. This is a company that builds these whiz-bang backyard playhouses for kids, the real expensive ones. These things sell for like $10,000 to $50,000, and they're playhouses in your backyard for your kid. And so they got to have a showroom anyway. They got to have a place where they got all their models, just like house models. And so now for $8 a day, the kids can come over and play in the models. And so they got it, let's see, it added $100,000 to their revenue last year. Right? Didn't get in the way of the sales function at all. And in fact, of course, it sells houses. Because if you are dumb enough, if you have the ability to buy, and you are dumb enough to take your little daughter over there 3 or 4 times to play in them at $8 a day, that $8 ain't going to be a bargain by any stretch of the imagination. You're going to be buying one of these suckers for $10,000. And by the way, when I say $10,000 to $80,000, that means the price isn't $10,000. All right? So they're selling something different, right? And then it's helping them sell their regular product as well. Going to skip a couple for the sake of time. Wish I didn't have to. When you think about selling something different, now is the time to add value, not to cut back on value. Now is the time to give people more, not give people less. That's the other stupidity going on is, okay, let's cut our advertising, marketing, and sales budget and activities, so we'll save some money there, and then let's cut back on the deliverable and we'll save some money there. And we wonder why there's less customers and they're spending less. Gee, it's a mystery to me. So like you saw us, if you paid attention, you got all kinds of new diamond benefits, right? Not very recently. Right? Contrary to what he would tell you, he didn't add all of these great diamond benefits and not raise the price out of the generous spirit of his heart. Right? I know him. He added it for perfectly good business reasons. Right? Now is the time to provide more, not less, to increase the value. Why is Disney busily building tree houses and condos in Hawaii for their timeshare customers at a time when they could and should maybe be conserving cash and slowing down those projects? Because now is the time to do more, not less. So, there's 2 ways to make the recession your friend. One is this thing called alignment. Okay? So you align your business in one way, shape, or form with the recession. This is merely another version of the Robert Collier principle, So I was going to try and do it with Hill. So let's just, how many of you that the name Robert Collier means anything to? Now see, if you were curious about the answer to that, see, you would do what only Rosenberg did. You would turn around and look back there, because nobody was raising their hands up here. But anyway, I don't know, do it again. About a third of the room maybe, huh? No? Okay. So those of you who don't, if you're a student of advertising, or for that matter, a student of personal development, by the way, because he lived in both worlds, but if you're a student of advertising, it's a name you should know. If you've been around here for a while, it's a name you should know. And so a little tip for you for the rest of the weekend, or month, or however long we're here, is if you hear a reference that doesn't mean anything to you, jot it down, go like Google it or Yahoo it or tweet them or do something and see if you can find out about it, because it's something you should know. So Collier is he's a fabulous direct response copywriter and an early mail order pioneer, among other things. But Collier's best known for what is generally credited to him. So it's called by many the Robert Collier principle, which is that what you want to do in advertising, marketing, and selling is step into the conversation already occurring in your prospects or customers' mind, right? Because they're having a conversation before you got there. So they're having their kitchen table conversation. They're having their water cooler conversation. They're having their cocktail party conversation. And they're having their internal dialogue. They're having their conversation with themselves. So depending on who you're selling to, and obviously different people are having different conversations about this, which I talked about at the very beginning. So some people's conversation with themselves about the recession is the "I'll be damned if it's going to interfere with what I want to do" conversation. Some people, the conversation they're having with themselves is the this affects ordinary mere mortals and dumb and weak, but it doesn't affect me, so I want to behave in a way that validates that self-perception. Other people, the conversation they're having with themselves is, gee, I'm anxious, I'm uncertain. What if I buy this thing and then I lose my job? So they're having that conversation. So you got to know who you're selling to. You got to know what is going on in there. And then one way to make it your friend is to, in some way, shape, or form, align yourself with it, to step into that conversation and temporarily be with it, and then if need be, shift the person's thinking as you are now into the conversation. You'll see in, I believe, the upcoming issue of the WS marketing letter, so I didn't bring it to show to you, but you'll see an ad for a vitamin product, some kind of miracle pomegranate seed thing, a pill you take that, you'll live to be 312, so you can be sure you'll live long enough to see all your money run out. But actually, you'll see when you see the ad, they're running the ad in financial publications. They're not running the ad in health or fitness publications. So to our 3 points, kind of important, they're deliberately going and selling to different people, right? They want them on continuity at like $49 a month, I think, or $59 a month for one pill. So they want somebody with the ability to buy, and they're the only one in those publications running that type of advertisement. So that can sometimes be an advantage. But then they've aligned the whole ad, as you'll see, with sort of recession money conversation, and they use a little humor, not a lot, and they basically are, not so happy and positive and pleasant to think about at the moment. What a great time to invest in your health and your longevity. So they have tweaked their message to the market and to the recession. Obviously, you see in the recession, anytime there's a recession, all the gold buyers and all the gold sellers come out of the woods. They're always there, by the way. It's just that not really mainstream. So the gold sellers, when there's not a recession, there's a small segment of the affluent investment populace. They're generally called gold bugs. They're the guys. How many of you in here read Howard Buff? Very few. Say this is, well, Howard is like 198, and Howard's been at this. He's an information marketer, but he sells to the gold bugs. And so Howard's consistent message is, you know, the next depression is only moments away, and you need to fill your basement with food, and you need to take all your money and buy gold. And he's lived long enough that he's been right 6, 7 times. Tell you something about that. If you watch Celebrity Apprentice, and I hope that you do, because there are lessons to be learned. Although Christy Frank, who's here, see, she was on the last year there were smart people, which was unfortunately the first year, and they used up all the smart people the first year, and so they've been getting dumber and dumber and dumber groups as they've gone along, and then of course recently they ran out of regular people who could even get themselves dressed and get to the set, so they started to use celebrities. So now it's sort of like The Apprentice combined with the surreal life, you know? Haven't had Mini-Me on there yet, urinating in the closet as he did on the surreal life, but you know, they're close. One of the judges on the Celebrity Apprentice this past week was Jim Cramer, who I think is hilarious, because has he ever been right? You know, but he's got the highest rated, you know, a financial show that there is. And I have a friend who's #1 radio guy in the Phoenix market year after year after year. He's a morning talk show. And every year in January for a week, he has this woman psychic on. And people call in and she gives predictions about anything they want, you know, who's going to die, who's going to get married, who's going to whatever. And what's going to happen in the market, and on and on and on. And they're like the highest rated shows, and the switchboard is jammed. And I asked Barry some years ago, I said, if you ever tracked and measured how often, you know, what her ratio is, how often she's right. He says, I don't think she's ever been right about anything. He said, it doesn't make any difference. People just love predictions. You know? So Howard has been right, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 times during his career, and you know, that's okay. So he caters to this group of people who are called gold bugs. They're the people who believe we never should have gone off the gold standard, and that gold is the safe investment. And at times of recession, though, that kind of narrow, niched message goes big and broad. And so you see a lot more TV advertising. If you watch TV, you see a lot more magazine advertising of the gold sellers. You also see the gold buyers, right? So there's always pawn shops, and there's always gold buyers, but mostly where you see them advertised when there's not a recession is only in magazines read by like old people, okay? So they're in like, you know, the Reader's Digest, not the large print edition, the Gigundo magnified print edition, you know. They're in Senior Decrepit Person Monthly. That's where they are, because old people at a certain point, they get mad at their relatives and they put their jewelry in an envelope and they send it in and they turn it into money. But in a recession, see, they go mainstream. And so you now see them on TV, if you pay attention, a bunch of them, right? And they run a lot of ads, and they'll give you a FedEx package, and you take all the stuff and you send it in, and you trust them to tell you what it's worth, and which seems to me like phoning your bet on the roulette table in, but which is a guy who does on his birthday every year. This Vegas story for 25 years. He calls in, places a $100,000 bet, one bet on one spin of the wheel over the phone. 25 years, guys, never won. But so they send the gold in, right? So these guys now say they come out of the woods every time there's a recession, because what they do is in perfect alignment with it, and their business booms. Now, what's never occurred to them ever is at other times change their message so it's in alignment with what's going on. They just go hibernate. and they wait for the next recession that the message they have is aligned with. And if you think about it, a lot of dumb people are just doing that in reverse now. So a recession is here. They don't have a aligned with the recession message. So they are either hibernating or just suffering. Okay? But if you change your message, see, I could change the gold message in a hot second. If you think about it, so could you. There's a way to sell investing in gold during the middle of a boom. It's just hardly anybody tries to do it. They just wait until there's not a boom. Okay? So alignment is one answer. Right? And so it could be your marketing message. It could be your entire business. So you see a company like Aaron's Rents right now. You guys all know what Aaron's Rents is, right? You see them on TV. They rent furniture and appliances to people with bad credit, or really dumb people who actually could go buy but don't know they can go buy. So they're a very successful company. But if you looked at their commercials 2 years ago and you looked at their commercials now, there's been a slight message change. Okay? They're using language about how no one else, credit is dried up and no one will give you credit, and we don't even check your credit. Okay? Anyone can come in here and rent. You can have a credit score of 3 and be on parole. And we'll furnish your house. Okay? That's their message. And so for a certain segment of the market, they have tweaked it to be even more aligned with, again, for the sake of time. So one of the two ways to make the recession your friend is to align your business, or at least your message, with it, right? The other way to make the recession your friend is something pretty cool. And that is to understand that there is one big thing that people are always looking for. And they often don't enunciate it. They often even can't enunciate it. If you put them in a focus group environment, often you don't get this out of them. They're always looking for this, but they are looking for it more in times like these than at any other times. Okay? And if you craft your business, or at least its marketing, around this, you gain tremendous advantage. So what is it that they are looking for more than anything else at times like these? To be simplistic, and then we'll talk about it a little bit in depth, they're looking for certainty. Okay? They are looking for certainty because everything feels to them like sifting sand. So they're looking for solid ground. They feel very uncertain, and they are looking for someone who steps up in front of them and is absolutely certain about whatever it is that they are selling. So salesman, vendor, politician, doesn't make any difference. What they're looking for from these people now is the confidence. So you hear a lot of talk about consumer confidence, right? And some economists say the whole thing. It's not subprime, it's not theft, it's not greed, it's not stupidity, it's just consumer confidence. If we could just restore consumer confidence. Well, there is legitimate reasons why they're not real confident. But the point, though, is well taken. Okay? Because spending and even investing doesn't have a great deal to do with reality. So if you watch the Dow, which hardly anybody used to, and now everybody watches it like they were, checking their pulse to make sure they're still breathing. So people that can't even spell Dow are watching the Dow every minute. And well, I'm serious. People that don't have any investment money, but they now can tell you what the Dow did in the last hour. It's down in the corner of the TV screen. Now, it's a ticker, right? And so people are obsessed with it. And so, did it go up today? Did it go down today? How many points did it go up? Looks like Mother Jones specimen. How many points? We're saving on tea bags, so we're done. Used them all up at those rallies. Obama done a lot. So everybody's watching this thing, right? And so that means you're watching it too. And if you're watching it, here's what you have to know. There's no rational reason for it to go up today or down today. Some days there is. Some real bad news comes out or some good, but it went up yesterday. Tell me why it went up yesterday. There's no rational reason whatsoever for it to have gone up yesterday. But it went up. Some people put some money in for some reason, right? The 100th day, I suppose, you know. So some people put it in because he made it to 100 days. Some of us felt good because 100 days done, so we'll put some in, right? Well, we're like counting on a wall with chalk, like we were in a prison cell. You know, that's what we're doing. But see, it's not about rational thought. So confidence is important, right? So when the consumer's not confident, when they are anxious and uncertain and worried, right, if they're going to buy from you, they have to get confidence from you. They got to borrow yours. Intensifies. So you get power by being more certain. So right now, if you sell a particular type of mattress, you better be presenting that mattress with greater confidence and certainty, has the cure for everything that ails humans on the planet. Right? You can't just be selling a mattress. They're not going to buy a mattress. Right? Maybe they'll lose their job. They won't be able to make their payments. Maybe they're not making a good decision. Maybe we should wait another year. But if you're really, 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 really certain that that mattress will help them live to be 150 and they'll never wake up with a backache again, and they'll have better sex, and they'll grow hair in places they want it, and they won't grow it in places they don't, and say now they'll buy that mattress and they'll pay pretty much any price for the mattress. If you're selling a pill, it better be the greatest discovery of medical science ever, because that's what they want. They want a certain person, a certain spokesperson with a certain product. And again, if you're kind of a history buff, if you take a look at go back to the Depression. And if you take a look at who sold what and how they sold it, you'll see it was with wizardry, mysticism. It was with great certainty. There's a book, I've recommended it to my Platinum members and stuff. I think we may have even sent it to Platinum members. I strongly urge you to read this book, but don't take the title wrong. The book is titled Charlatan, and it is it reads like a novel, so you'll like it. It's like fun to read, not like, say, any of you have been slogging through that, which is useful to read, but ain't a lot of fun. Also kind of daunting, you know, it's this thick, and everybody says, I'll never get through it, so they don't start. You know? So Charlatan's only about this thick. You'll like it. And it's out in paperback, so it's cheap. So you don't have the hardbound price getting your way. So you can go to Amazon and get this book called Charlatan. Now, Charlatan is about one of the first great mass marketers of nonsensical alternative health. All right? And we have a member who's a direct descendant. Are you here? Is our Brinkley relative here somewhere? They're all the way in the back. So you look back there, raise your hand. So when you read Charlatan, we have a relative here of the doctor. I use the term doctor loosely, of the doctor who is the subject of this book. And without ruining it for you, he got his business really took off and people came from all over the country at a time when the economy was horrible and nobody had any money. And they came from all over the country to his virility clinic to get sheep testicles grafted onto theirs. All right? Now, this is real, by the way. This is not fiction, understand. It reads like a novel, but this is non-fiction. Okay? This actually went on. And there's connections. So the chiropractors in the room, you will recognize the name Moore's Fishbone, probably. You will have a visceral negative reaction to the name. Moore's Fishbone traces all the way back to regulatory. The start of the FDA is really thanks to this guy, because they decided they needed to put this guy out of business. He used radio, and when they took radio away from him, he went and put up his own radio broadcasting towers right across the border in Mexico, and broadcast back in the United States, but they couldn't regulate them. I mean, it's a fabulous, fabulous story if you set aside, obviously, the fact that he was stealing money. But not that the regular medical doctors aren't doing that too, but so read the book once for fun if you want to, and then go back and read the book as a blueprint for selling certainty in uncertain times. And you will see that everything he did, if you do, for whatever it is that you sell, you will do better the more of it you do at times like this. Well, a lot of you are doing well, by the way. And so again, this topic this morning for some of you is like, I don't know, I'm doing great now, right? And I know that anecdotally. But if your income isn't what you would like it to be, some things to think about. So Paul Meyer always said it's because your goals aren't defined well enough. And I find that a lot with clients. They're running around playing blind archery. It's more dangerous. But I say that right now, if your income isn't what it's supposed to be, for the most part, you're not creating enough value. Now, a quick caveat. Value by the perception of the people you sell to. Okay. So you can't get in your own way about that. Say the church delivers value and the house of ill repute delivers value. Different customers have different perceptions about that. If you're running a church, you don't want to be role modeling necessarily the house of ill repute and vice versa, although there are some profound similarities, but for the most part there are not. So you got to understand what value is in the mind of the person you're catering to. There was an episode of The Celebrity Apprentice, I don't remember which one it was, the one where they took over the hotel. For those of you that saw it, and they had a floor of the hotel they had to run as their exercise. And it was towards the beginning of the season because Dennis Rodman was still on the show, which guaranteed train wreck, right? This is like casting. This is, what the hell was her name? Christy, thank you, Omarosa. So Rodman was Omarosa, okay? And he even dresses like Omarosa some of the time. So Rodman, you know, is cast in the train wreck category. There has to be a train wreck person. But so Joan Rivers is on the show this year, and I did some work for Joan some years ago. And I like Joan personally. And so at this particular episode of The Hotel, now Joan has a lot of money. And squeezes the nickel until the buffalo cries about some things, but on other things she spends liberally. And Joan takes care of herself very well and travels very well and is a luxury buyer, if you will. And Joan made the statement during the show, and most people wouldn't have even caught it, okay? But she made the statement of how much she likes the little basket of free stuff in the room, because she likes to take home the hand lotion and the shampoo and the conditioner and the stuff. Okay? Now, so you're running a hotel and your suite is $5,000 a night, and people are staying in it and paying $5,000 a night. You might not think that a critically important value to them is the little basket of free stuff, because clearly they can afford to buy their own stuff. And you would think like your brother-in-law, the car mechanic, some of the time, who lives in the trailer with his third wife and the kids from the previous 5. You would think of them taking the stuff home, right? The free shampoo, the free soap, the curtain rods off the shower rods. Say that, hey, look, Ma, we can finally hang them curtains. So you'd think of them taking the stuff home. You wouldn't think of, you know, the rich person in the luxury suite. But see, that is an important value to her. Okay? And if there's one of her, by the way, there's a lot of her. Okay? And so you got to know what value is to them. But then if your income is not what you would want it to be, my contention is it's because you're not creating enough value. Okay? Because income always ultimately reflects value. Sometimes for short periods of time it can be manipulated and people can get income for not creating and delivering value, but that never lasts. Sustainable income always has a relationship to value. W. Clement Stone said the sales contingent upon the attitude of the salesperson, not the attitude of the customer. Let's think about this room for a second. But I don't mean necessarily a physical place in your case. It might be your website, they're visiting, your webinar, they're watching, your sales letter, you're reading. It might be the salesperson or technician who has come into their home, whatever. But let's think about this as a physical room for a second. Right now, it takes longer when you first come in to this environment. So how many of you arrived yesterday? Okay. How many of you arrived today? I'm the only one that knows, you understand. Okay, so most of you arrived yesterday. So you've had last night and this morning to acclimate. Those of you who raised your hands that arrived this morning, see, you're still mentally where you came from, more than you are mentally here. Your butt's here, okay? But this isn't yet. Okay? So for this to be effective for you, and if we are going to like sell you anything while you're here, there needs to be a reacclimation. You have to stop thinking about what you were thinking about before you got here, and you have to shift into thinking in a different way while you're here. Same thing happens in the sales process at any time. Anytime we're selling something, right? And so we have to change the conversation going on in our mind. But it's even more true now, right? The sale cannot be contingent upon their attitude. It has to be entirely contingent upon your attitude. And as an aside, Those of you that have employees, you got to be more vigilant than ever about their attitudes, because if they think nobody's buying, nobody's going to be buying. If they think your prices are outrageous, especially now, your customers will think your prices are outrageous too. Now, they do this to you all the time. If you've read the Ruthless Management book, if you haven't read the Ruthless Management book, please read the Ruthless Management book. But if you read you know. But you still think it. But I've sat in these offices. I've heard it. I've been in the reception room in the dentist's office and heard that dental staff person telling that customer, sort of in the low voice, almost stage whisper, well, you know, I know this fee is really high. And frankly, there's 3 or 4 other dentists in town where you can get the same work done for less if that's a problem for you. And you know, Dr., I won't give you his name, has his kids in private school. And it's very expensive. Okay? This is the staff person. Now, her heart's in the right place, by the way. She's not doing this out of malice. She's doing it because she's genuinely convinced that this person can't afford and is getting a raw deal and shouldn't be paying this price. So she's well-intentioned. Well-intentioned people at every level. Washington, D.C., down to your staff person. Say, if somebody backs their car over you on purpose or by accident, the result is the same. Okay? Doesn't say you're still dead. Okay? But you got to be even more sensitive to this now. See, because their attitude is going to control the sale. And so you better be working on that. The last one comes from Rohn. And Rohn said that if you go and find yourself an extraordinarily successful person in any field, a high-income producer in any field, and you follow him around for a week, and I would add the caveat, if you can keep up. Because I maintain that many couldn't even keep up. I happen to believe I'd burn out 2/3 of you by midweek. Right? I don't think you could do it. If you followed him around, at the end, no wonder he's so successful. Look at everything, keyword everything, he does. And so if your income's not what you would like it to be right now, it's probably that you're not doing enough things. And sometimes, in some businesses, recession does require you to do more just to get what you were getting before, doing less. You can sit around and decry that if you want to, but that won't be productive. Figuring out how to do more will. And so, hope these tips were helpful to you. Bill has some great examples in the second part of this segment to show you. And we're going to have a great 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is together. Thank you all for coming.